LCSW.com.
Here's your Central Texas area forecast. A mix of clouds and sun today with a chance for scattered thunderstorms. Highs level off around 93. Southerly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies again tonight. Lows level off around 71. Cloudy skies expected tomorrow. Chance for scattered thunderstorms. High temperatures reach up to 90. I'm meteorologist Laura Lockwood.
Here we go. Bye-bye. Thanks to Laura. Currently 71 degrees in downtown Comanche under mostly clear skies. Time for Coffee Talk, brought to you by the Comanche Chamber of Commerce and Agriculture. Check them out at #Explore Comanche, Texas, as we welcome in Cynthia Newton back in the house with Hope Counseling. How we doing?
I am doing great. I have recovered quite well from my lobotomy. Thank you.
You had a lobotomy? Who said that?
You know, there's a lot of people that listen to this radio station that know me, so.
Right.
Just saying.
So Melissa K said that?
Yeah, Melissa K, exactly. We'll throw Melissa K.
I might have mentioned that. I meant to say she had leg surgery. That's what I meant to say.
But I am doing well, and it's wonderful to be back. I've missed being on the air.
Yeah.
I'll say thanks to Kate for coming in and helping cover those days that weeks. Gosh, it's been weeks that I've been out. So anyway, I'm excited to be back.
Really well. Yeah, it's good to have you back. What are we talking about this morning?
So last week, Kate kind of started talking a little bit about returning to school and COVID. And I mean, I was saying earlier, I almost feel like we're right back where we were when I first started coming on the radio a year and a half ago. I mean, when everything was shutting down, and it's just like, you know, all the fears, all the unknowns, all the, you know, what do we do now? Where do we go? But yet it's almost scarier because everything's still open.
We're literally right back where we were. It's not worse. It's not worse.
The anxiety for kids, for adults, for people that, you know, maybe even having experienced this or currently experiencing this is that much higher because, you know, everything's 100% open. We're still doing all these things. So I really wanted to talk a lot today about how do you help your kids. My kids started school last Thursday, and, you know, they ask a lot of questions.
Sure.
They're like, you know, why this? Why that? We can do this. Yay. But wait a minute. What about this? And, you know, how do you deal with that? And how do you create a calm for them is some of the big factors.
Sure.
So to begin, you know, when you're looking at returning to school, we've had several schools return last week. I think Sydney starts today, and I don't know, DeLeon, I believe, starts Thursday, and you've got Hamilton and Eastland starting this week. All over the area that we go into as Hope Counseling. I know that schools have started or are starting this upcoming week. So parents are trying to do that last minute shopping.
Sure.
I just want you to know Academy this weekend was not a fun place. And
dog eat dog world, huh?
It was like,
mine.
It was not a fun place to be. If you need football cleats, yeah, just you better get them now.
You use last year's.
Who cares if you've outgrown them? Just get into it. Yeah, you can use last year's anyway. So
Never seen a shoehorn. Don't know what that's for. That's for fitting in shoes that don't fit.
That's right. So the major things are you're going to need to provide a routine structure. I know that, you know, Kate hit on this last week, preparing your kids for change. They're returning to school, and it may not look exactly like it looked last year, okay, when they left. And just letting them know that there's things that are going to be different about mask requirements, distance between friends, all these things that could or could not be different, that different schools are doing or not doing or changing. There is a lot of, quote, normalcy coming back in our schools. However, that also, again, for some people, you know, increases that anxiety because we know that COVID's still out there. We know that vaccines we're still down in our numbers on vaccinated, and we know that children under 12 can't get vaccinated. So that puts them at even a higher risk. So don't pretend that your kids aren't worried. I mean, that's the worst thing you can do. Just don't gloss over it.
Don't poo-poo it.
That's right, because you don't want them to sit there and think that they're not allowed to have feelings about it at all. So set them down, talk to them, help them feel comfortable. You know, answer the questions, talk to them about what's going on at school, what might be different, anything that they don't understand. lots and lots of kids, and then, I mean, in my practice all over, I'm just the mask requirements. So many schools, and this is almost an hourly debate. I mean, it's just constantly changing
like
in
a lot
the
of this
schools.
stuff
Yeah,
is.
yeah, and it's just ever changing, and they're just like, do we wear a mask? Do we not wear a mask? I know that a lot of schools are recommending, they can't enforce it, can't mandate it, some of this kind of stuff back and forth. And, kids don't want to wear masks. We know that. I mean, I know that, but you kind of have to paint that picture. If you want your children to wear a mask for safety, then, paint that picture and help your kids understand, well, the school may not require it, but I require it. Okay.
Yeah.
If you don't want your kids to wear a mask, then, and they ask you, should I not, then, that's up to you as a parent either way. So, but be able to explain those things to your kids. So we've had a lot of lack of social interactions, even this summer, as we were kind of starting to finally get back, into getting out, doing vacations. There's still a lack of not as many, interactions with people, and we're getting back into that. So sometimes you sit here like, I really haven't been around a lot of people for a year and a half.
Yeah.
And now school's back, and I've got people, my parents can come to the classrooms, or we're not limiting people who come to the games, all these things. It's just kind of like, wow, socialization overload for some people. So just realize, for those people that may have some social anxiety, it could almost be overwhelming for them. So it's real good to make sure you help your children and help your students as they map through some of those anxieties that they're going to be dealing with. So here we are, COVID-19. Are we ever going to stop talking about COVID-19?
Just going to change the variant.
I don't know.
It'll be a different flavor.
So what does reopening mean at this point? Okay. For so many people, like I said, it meant being at home. It meant, virtual versus in person. It meant not being as involved. I mean, last year, it was hard as a parent to not be able to have classroom parties, or, to go to as many of the games and the athletic events and the other events, just because it was limited. And
graduation.
Yeah, graduation. I mean, yeah.
Couldn't even do that. And
now, I mean, it's like we've had graduations coming up, and I mean, just all these things are starting to happening. So, what does that mean, and what does that mean as your role as a parent and a teacher, and how you help these kids to transition? There's a lot of things that have to happen, and there's a lot of things that take place. If you think about some of these kids that were born during the start of this pandemic, may not have ever had any socialization
at all. Yeah.
Because
this is their normal. Is home.
Yeah. I mean, so as they're starting, so you're looking at your 2-year-olds right now, as they're starting, moving into early childhood, daycares, all these things, and they just haven't had any of that. They're gonna be a little more skittish, of strangers. They're gonna want to stay close to their parents. School-age children who are sensitive or easily worried, or those that might have developmental delays, may need extra time to adjust. So just remember, it's often easier for young children to make the transition if they have spent some time with their parents and the new person together. So if that's possible, meet the teachers. I know we're doing that again. If that's possible to help your kid see safety and understand that they're okay, then that's going to be a good transition point for them. Transitioning during the time of physical distancing, masks, and I laugh because it's just so much. It's been very important, to keep that physical distance between people who don't live together up until, now, especially people have been quarantined. Early care and education programs and skills in the past, schools have had to limit visitors, and it's just, all these things are changing. Facial expressions. I mean, you think about with the mask cover, kids, having to interpret facial expressions. So in some of these core developmental stages of their life, they haven't been able to fully grasp some of these things in socialization that are really important. So they may be a little bit behind in some of that kind of stuff. They may be aware that COVID-19 is a risk, and that it has to do with being around other people, and they may worry about getting sick. But however, children are generally more flexible and can adapt. So we have to look at the ways to protect children's health as we make these transitions. COVID-19, of course, we all know, has increased stress, fear, and worry for many families. Worries about sickness, finances, and isolation, coping with grief from loss, and having less outside help has made parenting more stressful. And we're still looking at death tolls. We're still looking at hospitalizations. We're still looking at people quarantined because they've got loved ones that are sick. That hasn't gone away.
Nope.
And the stress of, I have to be off work for 2.5 weeks to quarantine or 14 days because I was exposed. Again, these stressors are coming back. It's scary. These kids, they're going to feel some of that. They're going to be like, Mom and Dad aren't going to work right now because of this, and we're stuck back at home, and we love each other, but man, I'll tell you what, the house gets pretty small.
Yes, it does.
So just realize that with the right support, helping everybody, that you need to be aware that children can have episodes of increased anxiety and increased of acting out, but be supportive and help them through all of this. What can parents and teachers do? That's the biggest question. What can you do? First off, parents can connect with other parents who have children in the same program. Talk with teachers about the best way to separate from their child at the start of the day. Brief goodbyes are often best. Try to stay calm and reassuring during transition, using a calm voice with a relaxed face and body to let your child know that they wouldn't leave them if the child were not safe and protected. Parents need to take care of themselves during stressful times so they can be better equipped to take care of others. Remember that this is a phase. Building new relationships is a skill, and with support, children can be resilient. Even if it's hard to separate, they will gain a new trusted relationship with their new teacher and feel more secure. Parents with concerns can make sure their child has a daily predictable routine. Monitor their child's developmental milestones. Talk to a healthcare professional or a mental health professional about anxiety or behavior problems that you're starting to see. And again, look for other resources that might be available, possible special education accommodations that might need to be in place, and be aware you have that right to ask for that if you're seeing significant delays with your child. Schools, what can y'all do? Provide staff development and support for teachers if there are more children than usual who have difficulty with transition. Make sure that teachers have access to mental health support. If they are dealing with their own stress, loss, or trauma related to COVID-19, how are they going to effectively be able to help the children? So we gotta make sure our teachers are taken care of and that they've got that support as well. Seek support from early childhood mental health consultants as well. And then finally, teachers and administrators. Provide virtual connections with parents, video calls, phone meetings, in-person meetings if you feel it's possible. Create daily structure. Share information with parents of returning children about how the daily routine might be different because of the pandemic. Provide frequent communication to parents about their children's time in the program. Again, communicating is going to be effective, especially we may be one way right now. Next week it could be something totally different.
Tomorrow
it could be totally different. So we're starting school in almost like an ever-changing, a day-to-day thing, and we have to be ready for those changes as parents to be able to help our children. It's okay, we're going to get through this. We're here to help you, and just to support our kids, because it's there's so much involved. And I've said for the last year and a half, kudos to our schools, our administrators, our boards. All these, that are having to try to figure out how to cope with this, how to make this work, and to ensure that the children are still getting the education that they need to be able to be successful. And there's nothing easy about being a teacher right now. There's nothing easy about being a teacher anyway, but you add this to it, and it's a whole different can of worms. Some other major things you've got to realize: school is starting, and this is COVID or not COVID. You are going to start seeing mental health problems emerge at back to school time. This is common, okay? Because you've had this summer, you haven't had the stressors, you haven't had lots of things. All of a sudden, we're back in schoolwork, practicing,
band,
all these extra things, trying to fluctuate it all, trying to still be able to do our routines at home and chores and all this stuff. And it's like, wait a minute, I don't know how to do this. And we have meltdowns and we have tantrums. Kids may show extreme anxiety. So just be aware and be able to help them. And if you need always be aware that there's mental health out there for them. The sooner you get them the help, the better, because the quicker they fall, or the faster they fall, or the deeper they fall, so to speak,
Yeah.
sometimes it takes a little bit more to bring them back. Sure. So kids' brains are changing dramatically. That's something that's always happening, especially during the teenage years. I mean, just look out, teenage years. So keep up communication and open communication with your kids. Anxious parents send anxious kids to school. Again, you know, if you're anxious, your kid's going to feel that. So you need to make sure, even though on the inside you may be a little bit concerned, you've got to try to create some normalcy for your child, some, you know, decreased anxiety. Teachers matter. Teachers get to know your family through your child's eyes. They get to know how a child behaves without their parents. This means that parents can get all kinds of information about a child from his teacher. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. Be sure and communicate with them, okay? I mean, how's my child doing? Do you have any concerns? Do I need to do more? Keep that communication. Teachers give out emails. You know, that's such an important factor. Make sure you create a solid homework time for your child, that they can really concentrate on their homework. And as just keeping that routine. Don't jump to conclusions. Kids grow and develop at different rates. Ideally, a child will acquire various skills within expected time periods, but they may develop more quickly in one area than other. So sometimes you worry about maybe a delay or maybe something that might be lagging. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're destined to be behind. But a seasoned teacher can often frame your child's progress in relation to as many as 300 other kids. So good teachers are invaluable allies. Be aware that your teachers are there to help you. They care about you. They care about your kids. We're here at Hope Counseling to help you in any way that we can. We've got offices, again, in 4 locations: Hamilton, Dublin. Haven't done this in a while. Hamilton, Dublin, Comanche, and Eastland. And you know, we are still seeing patients. We're still seeing in person. We're still taking precautions as an entity that we have to take. So just be aware of that. And if there's anything that we can do, please don't hesitate to reach out. Our office number is 325-356-1105. And you can call or find us on Facebook at Hope Counseling of Texas. Again, we've got 4 locations in Comanche, Hamilton, Eastland, and Dublin. Right?
Don't look at me. Kate struggled with those two. I think I hit her with that. I go, no, where are y'all at? And she was like, but she made it through. Cynthia, it's good to have you back.
It's great to be back, and I will see y'all next week. As always, if you have specific topics, please let me know. I'd love to be able to address any specific concerns that you might be having.
All right. Cynthia Newton with Hope Counseling. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
The long, tall one right here, AJ Alan Jackson on the Ox.